Welcome everybody to the Living Hope Agency Call. I couldn't be more excited for our special guest speaker tonight, Miss Mel Montoya. She's somebody who consistently helps 30 to 40 families personally every single month. She's definitely a leader who leads from the front. And she's also recently become not even just a rising star manager, but a top 10 manager in all of Family First Life America. It's actually been really, really cool for me to see how fast that she's grown, because she's only been here for, I believe, a little over a year. And I remember when she wasn't even on the leaderboard, and now she's number 9 out of all of the managers. And I just watched her pass person after person after person. And she's someone I wanted to have on this call for a while. I've only actually got to talk to her a couple of times in person, but she's just an awesome individual, great producer, great manager. And you guys will hear why here shortly. So Mel, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for having me on this call.
Yes, I love the hat. And thank you so much for being here. So, Mel, I'd love if you could just share with everybody your background. I know you do have a previous background in insurance, but what were you doing before you got into insurance? How did you find your way to insurance? And then talk about that transition to Family First Life.
Yeah, absolutely. I was actually working at the bank for about 4 years, and I decided, okay, maybe I should go to school for business. Seemed like a pretty good field. And I just knew I'm from Billings, Montana. So I don't know if anybody knows where Montana's at. But I was there, and then I just woke up one day and I was like, all right, I got to get out of here. Like, I feel this urge or something inside me telling me that I got to, move. So I just packed my bags without, knowing anybody in Arizona, and I just left. And then I was working like the bank, like I said, for about 4 years. I transitioned into doing like an admin position for one of my friends' business. And then one day I randomly got a DM, and I never like really open DMs or respond. But something was like, you definitely need to respond to this. And it was from my practice company. So I just went at it, knew nothing about it, failed 3 times, passed out on the 4th time. I don't know how, but I did. And that was in 20, that was almost 3 years ago, actually almost 3 years ago in August. So I've been in the, insurance industry ever since. Was at the practice company for about a year and a half, and I really struggled. And then someone really close to me was like, hey, I'm going to FFL. And I was like, well, I'm going too. And now I'm here.
I love it. So, what was it that you struggled with at the previous company that you felt like when you saw what Family First Life had to offer, you thought, hey, here, this is a solution that Family First Life has that can help me overcome the struggles I'm having here at this current position I'm in?
Yeah, 100%. It was the leads and the high commission. And at the practice company, it was really hard to, see that vision and feel like you could actually make it there, I guess. Like it just didn't make sense. Nothing aligned. Whereas like here at FFL, everything made perfect sense. So
I
yeah.
love it. I love it. So tell us a little bit about your experience here so far. I mean, because obviously you came in right off the bat. Did you run in the home at first before you transitioned into the in-home? What did that look like?
Yeah. So honestly, when I made the transition, it was last April. I actually didn't write business or do anything between April and end of July. I was actually booking for Josh. And I got tired of seeing everybody pass me. And I was like, I have brains. I'm nice. I care about people. I'm tired of being broke. So just get out there and go do it. So I fully transitioned in August, and I was going in home. I was broke, had to borrow money, and I didn't stop. Like, I just kept running in the field, like didn't look back. Just for that was August, September, October, about 3 months, and then made the transition into telesales.
Okay. I love it. And so what's the most families you've ever helped in a month?
37.
37. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Incredible. And if you were to, I mean, we can't talk specific numbers, but if you were to help 37 families at the practice company versus 37 families here, just percentage wise, what would you say the difference? Would it be 50% less, 50% less on the commission? Like
Yeah,
how much different would it be?
like it would be terrible.
Yeah.
I don't even know percentage wise, but it can't even compare.
Yeah. And just to give y'all some perspective on how this industry works, because some of y'all, Family First Life is your first insurance experience, and it's my first insurance experience, and I feel very spoiled that this is the first place that I landed of all the places, and I didn't have to wade through the muck like you had to find your way here. But guys, the way that this insurance industry is set up is that typically an agent gets brought in between 30, 50, 60%, and then you've got a manager somewhere between 70 to 100% commission, and then you've got the corporate team that's earning, anywhere between a 120 to a 160. And what ends up happening is that the manager and the corporate team end up making more when you sell a policy than you do the person who did all the work. And then you come here and you earn, between 100 to 145% on your carrier contracts, and the agent earns the most, which is really how it should be. And that's what we get so excited about with Family First Life. So there's a reason why so many people are coming to Family First Life from insurance. It's one thing to say, hey, I understand that insurance is the best industry. But it's another thing to say, okay, well, now I want to find the best company in the best industry. And that's what, you and so many other people, have seen. So if there's anybody out there who's kind of in the same position as you, Mel, like what advice would you maybe give them in regards to making the leap and coming over from a company like that or another opportunity like that?
Just do the dang thing. But really, I mean, when it comes to like, you gotta get uncomfortable. Like that's for sure. Like if you, I don't know, I always go by that, but just getting uncomfortable and just doing it. Stay consistent. FFL it literally it's a map. If you don't follow it, like, okay, it's not gonna work. If you follow it and you're just consistent with it, like you're gonna get somewhere. That's just, I feel like that's just facts. It's not complicated. Just do it.
I love it. So guys, the way the rest of this call is going to go is we're going to kind of talk a little bit more on specific structure of kind of how Mel runs her business. We're going to talk about leads. We're going to talk about the phones. We're going to talk about, kind of her strategy. A lot of their team does one call close, they do live dials, telesales Zooms, and I'd love to hear a lot about that. But, what, I guess just kind of walk us through what does a day in the life of Mel Montoya look like producing insurance? And then we'll talk a little bit about recruiting later.
Yeah, I mean, I get up and I open Zoom. So I open it like 5 a.m. Arizona time, but I usually get on at like 7 a.m., whatever time zone I'm working, and I just hit the phones. I don't like to be bothered. If I have important texts, like I'll answer it, but like I got to help these families out. And most importantly, like you grow a business and things are duplicatable and people are watching you. So I always just try to get right at it first thing in the morning. So, make sure I buy my 120 leads, I triple dial, use a dialer system, and I just dial the leads. And then in the meantime, like in between breaks, like I'll recruit or I'll help agents out, but I'm on Zoom every day working.
I love it. So you are currently doing a one call close type of a system, or you setting appointments?
Nope, just one call close.
Okay. Will you kind of explain what is a one call close for anybody on here who's new that doesn't maybe understand what that is?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I'm dialing and, I get someone to pick up the phone, I just go through my, intro. Hey, this is Mel calling from the Benefits Center. I was just calling about the form you filled out online about the life insurance. You listed your date of birth as blah, blah, blah. Is that correct? Awesome. Well, I was just calling to let you know that we did process your request. We're doing everything virtually, so it takes about 10 minutes. Go ahead and grab a pen and paper and we'll close your file out. Let me know when you're ready. And that's it. If they're
I love it.
busy, I just figure out when they're going to be home. Awesome. I'll do my best to try to reach out to you then. And then I move on.
Okay. Awesome. So you pretty much right away, quick intro, take control. Here's what we're going to do. We're doing everything virtually now, so, hey, go grab a pen and paper. This is going to take 5 or 10 minutes. And then pretty much if they go grab the pen and paper, that you're starting a presentation.
They're solid. Exactly.
I love it. So can you walk us through, because I think just a lot of people, they would love to hear just how do you set the table with somebody over the phone? So now they've grabbed the pen and paper. How do you set the table to let them know, hey, we're submitting a request for coverage today, and you don't know me, I don't know you, I'm just this random person that called you over the phone?
Yeah. Or like, so usually they know. If they don't know, I'm trying to figure out, okay, well, who filled it out? Is it your husband, wife, whatever. But once they know and they're sitting down, awesome. So grab that pen and paper. Let me know when you're ready. Perfect. Now go ahead and write down my name. It's Melanie, Meloni. My license number with the state, it's blah, 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 blah. That's just my license number with the state. They do require me to leave that with you since we're doing this over the phone. And then I just go into the telesales script.
So can you give us some of that basic telesales script? Do you know it? Do you keep a script in front of you?
I always have it in front of me because I get distracted, or I don't know, sometimes I just go off. But yeah, I always have it on me. I'll just be like, well, now let me pull it up because there's quite a bit. If you
No,
guys
hey
have
guys, I
him
want to
on
make
the
as
spot.
she pulls this up, I want to make sure that y'all know that even top producers, like I still in front of my desk, I have my script on the wall. Some of
Yeah,
y'all have heard me do my phone script live. I know it because I've done it so many times, but I still have it in front of me, and
of
that's
course.
why I know it.
Yeah.
So yes, I would love to hear what you got.
Awesome. So I'll just say, all right, Jamie. Now, the way this works, it's really simple. My job's a little bit different from the sales reps we typically send out to you. I'm more so on the medical sides of things. So I will be asking you about 5 medical questions. And depending on how you answer those, it's going to give me a good idea of which company will decline you and which one might approve you. Once you pull up some options, we'll look to see which one is offering you the best rate. And at that point, we will be submitting an application today to see if we can get you approved for coverage. Now, Jamie, unfortunately, we cannot commit to anything today because before you buy the insurance, you do have to get approved for it first. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes sense.
And then I'll just go into finding the why.
Mm, I love it. That's
Yeah.
good. And I think, even right in the comments, her tone is professional, which is important. And it's also, guys, at the end of the day, some of y'all you have a script and you don't realize that Mel's probably said that script 1,000 times. Okay. And that's why she's so comfortable in saying it. She said it over and over and over again. So, over time, you start to learn, when are you going to voice inflect? Hey, and we will be submitting a request for coverage today. It's just
Right.
little things that you can help, take control with. Um, we'll come back to some specific things that you do here when it comes to closing the deal, but talk a little bit about mindset. So obviously, new agents come into this business, they've never worked leads before. They don't understand that when they're calling, there's going to be people who are saying they didn't fill it out. What do you say to a new agent that buys 100 leads? What are expectations that you maybe set for them?
So we have expectations a little different, obviously, because a lot of us are, on Zoom. But whenever I'm talking to people and they're getting ready to start, all right, so buy your 120 leads. Now you need to be on Zoom. You need to be unmuted. We need to be able to give you feedback. I need to hear what you're saying. I need to hear what the client is saying. That's like that side of the rules. But when it comes to like mindset, um, don't take anything that they're saying personal. Like, they filled this out and you're on the phone. Like, worst case scenario, if they're being rude to you, they're cussing at you, like, all right, sorry, you're having a bad day. Like, just move on. I mean, you don't have to say that, but you can just move on to the next person. But don't take anything personal. Like, they filled it out. It's life insurance. Like, it's a big deal, but it's not that big of a deal. And just, go through your rebuttals, like role play with your people, care about your people. Like, it's money. I get it. It's nerve wracking. I was scared to, spend money on leads too, but you know, it's a proven system with FFL. If you dial X amount of times, you're going to talk to these many people, and it's going to work. So sometimes you might, not sell a policy. Like, it happens. It's happened to me too, but you just got to keep it moving, really.
So, what would you say to somebody who answers the phone and they say, I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't fill that out.
All right, so Jamie, we have your date of birth listed as May 24th, 1996. Is that not your date of birth?
No, that is my date of birth, but I didn't fill, I'm just not interested. I didn't fill it out.
Not interested in what?
Uh, Not interested in the life insurance. My phone's just blowing up right now.
Yeah, no, I completely hear you. Again, this is a state regulated form. It's just a liability on my end. I do have to get the information out to you. It takes only about 10 minutes. Just go ahead and grab that pen and paper and we'll close your file out. That way
Fucking
you can
eight
stop
quotes
getting
in
these
2 days
calls.
off the fucking eight.
Okay. Sorry about that.
All good.
So why do I need to grab a pen and paper?
We just need to close your file out. It's just a state regulated form. Takes about 10 minutes. Let me know when you're ready.
Okay. And guys, just understand it's just right back to script. Just, hey, no problem. Hey, no problem. This is just all that we have to do. This is what we're going to do today. Right back to script, right back to script. And I think that's probably a more important skill to know than the specific word tracks. How do you pivot back into your script? How do you retake control? How do you ask the next question? And when they answer that question, say yes. So, how do you have that conversation with new agents who are maybe struggling on the phone? How do you coach them to just be able to take control on the phones?
To be honest, like I'm not one of those people where like I bring someone in, I let them, fend for themselves. So I like to really have people on my hip. That's why I really like Zoom in our culture,
Yeah.
because it's what makes the system go around. So I like people like right here with me, like failing in front of me and me giving them feedback. And then more importantly, listening to me. Like I know as when you guys get into management, it actually helps you guys out a lot more. So you guys learn a lot more as well. So they need to learn from me and, you know,
So when you guys set expectations for your live dials, it's not a recommendation to unmute. It's pretty much a requirement.
yeah, like, yeah, 100%. I mean,
Yeah.
you don't go to work and, put a bag over your head and just, no, like, that's just not how it works. Like we're on Zoom, like we're all unmuting, we're all like, it's life insurance. We're helping people out. Like if you don't want to learn and get better, I mean, you could definitely go somewhere else, but that would just be silly. Like,
Yeah.
let's help each other out for sure.
It's also so important to get immediate feedback, I think, because when you do let people fend for themselves, they call you a day or two later and they say, hey, Mel, I was on the phones and I got my butt kicked. And you're like, okay, well, what happened? And now they start to tell you this story about not what actually happened,
Yeah.
but what they think happened in their mind. And they go, well, this is what I said.
Yeah,
And you're
exactly.
like, is that what you actually said, or is that what you think you said? And
Yeah.
then you get on Zoom and you listen to someone, you're like, yeah, that's not what you're saying. So I'm hearing you, and you're not saying anything like the script says, for instance. And when you give someone immediate feedback, they can create immediate change. I
Mhm.
always, tell our team, if you have a dog and it's a puppy and the puppy pees in the kitchen while you're at work, when's the best time to discipline them? Is it right when they did it? Or is it 6 hours later when you got home from work and they don't really know why you're mad at them? It's
Mhm.
definitely right there in the moment when you can give somebody that feedback right there. Hey, don't pause right there. That's why they hung up. Hey, you didn't ask a question. You left it open ended. That's why they hung up. And you can give them that immediate feedback. It's huge. So,
Mhm.
kind of moving into our next section here. When it comes to the actual presentation and the presenting of options, that only comes from creating a good financial inventory. So whether you're in the home or whether you're over the phone, the financial inventory is the key to everything. You obviously ask the knockout questions, you find out how much money they make, you find out, which spouse is going to be in a worse off financial position, if they have retirement money. But how important do you think that financial inventory is into painting the picture for a client of, what the need is, and how do you just give me an example maybe of how would you paint the picture on a financial inventory for a client, showing them, they need this solution.
Yeah, it's extremely important. If anybody is not using it, you're costing yourself thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. Yeah, that's the most important part is finding their why. And it's not just all right, Jamie, are you looking for your funeral and final expenses? All right, they tell you yes, and then just move on. No, you got to dig deeper. Like, are you looking for cremation? Are you looking for burial? If they're talking about, no, I need mortgage protection. Well, don't just assume to pay off the entire home. They might be 70 plus years old. Find the why. Who's going to live in the home? You got to solve a problem. That's all we're doing. We're just problem solvers. So really asking those good questions, and take your time on the sheet. That's your ammo. You missing something about the mortgage, and Miss Mary passes away, she might not have that part covered, and yeah, it does fall back on you. So you know don't take it lightly. Like, fill it out completely. And then what was your second question about?
you know, I just think in general, our goal is to paint the picture with the financial inventory, of what, so I say something like, hey, Mariam, based on what I'm seeing here, I'm seeing that if you pass away, that your husband's going to be left with a $2,000 income loss. That sound about right? Yeah. So you guys see why having some insurance in place would be valuable, right? To replace that income. Yes, little trial close. Are you doing any trial closes or anything throughout the financial inventory, or how assumptive are you with it?
I'm sorry, what do you mean by that?
So a trial close would be like, and you see why something like that would be valuable, right? Getting them to say yes,
Oh,
creating, moments that they have an opportunity. So like when I'm on the phone and I say, hey, Mel, most people fill this out because they want to make sure if they pass away, the home's paid off, or if they become sick or disabled, the payments are made. Is that what you were looking for or something different? No, that's exactly what I was looking for. Boom, trial closed. They've now told me that's exactly what they're looking for. I say, hey, Bob and Mary, if something happens to, Bob, there's going to be a $2,000 income loss. And if something happens to Mary, there's going to be a $500 income loss. You guys would agree that, probably make more sense to have a little bit more insurance on Bob, right?
mhm.
Yes. And it's like I'm leading them where I want them to go, and I'm getting them to say, yes, but I'm using that financial inventory and I'm showing them to paint the picture of why that solution is necessary. And I'm not saying, hey, and you guys see why this Americal policy for $83 a month is valuable. I'm pitching them on the concept of life insurance first. I'm pitching them on the concept of the solution. And you
Mhm.
see why a plan that would solve that problem will be valuable, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Now it's the value's been built up. And we talk about how when the value exceeds price, that's when people buy.
Mhm.
But a lot of people, they just say, hey, oh, I got 10,000 for 100, 7,500 for 75, and 5,000 for 50. Which one do you want? And they're
Right.
like, well, none of them.
Mhm.
Versus, I know you want the insurance because I've built it up and I've gotten you to say that. Also, like painting the picture of, hey, Bob and Mary, what happens if one of you pass away? Well, we're not going to be able to pay the bills. I'm not going to be able to come out of pocket for the funeral. So I'm assuming that's something that you obviously do as well. I mean, do you have any examples maybe of, a way that you would paint the picture for somebody on, hey,
Yeah.
this is what happens when
Yeah.
you die?
Yeah. So that's like me finding the problem. Like I find the problem, whether it's like their funeral and final expenses, and then I figure out who the beneficiary is. All right, are they working? Do they have a family? If they tell me, we'll just say, for instance, like, all right, Jamie, so sounds to me like the reason you want to get your funeral and final expenses taken care of is because when something happens to you, Miss Mary, who's has a part-time babysitting job, has it's your daughter who has a family of her own. She's not gonna be able to take care of the funeral, correct? And I know the last thing you want is for her to, raise the money, do a GoFundMe, or worst case, have to borrow it, right? I guess I do it like that. And then when I go into explaining the coverages and the different options, I tailor like the solution to their problem. And I just explain it that way. Like, what is this going to do for them?
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So here's a big one. I think a lot of people would love to hear this from you. When you're doing a telesale, how do you get them comfortable enough to give you their personal information, to give you the
Yeah.
social security number and the banking info? They don't know you.
Yeah. So I honestly, guys, like I think a lot of it comes with my tonality. I'm not very friendly with them. Like I know that might sound crazy. Some of you guys might really warm up. I personally don't. I speak very, very monotone, and I pretty much get the job done. However, once I get to social, I make it make sense for them. And working with Josh, he's very smart. So he makes things make a lot of sense and essentially like dumb it down for people. You don't want to just ask a question out of the blue because then they're like, well, what's that for? So whenever I'm filling out the application, I'll, fill out everything, but are they a US citizen? What state are they're born in, and in the social. So I'll be like, all right, Jamie, so as I said prior, these are on the medical, so they're just going to look at your medical records just to make sure everything is good. Now I'm just going to ask you a couple of questions. Be honest with me. Are you a US citizen?
Yes.
All right. And what state were you born in?
Michigan.
All right. And what's your social? That's it.
It's like it like almost is like I almost wanted to tell you my social on here.
Yeah, you just
Yeah.
gotta do that.
It
And then
almost flowed out of my mouth.
the same thing with the banking, because honestly, like those are the really two main rebuttals you're gonna get doing telesales is the social and the banking. So same thing with banking. Once I get to there, all right, so it looks like I always say you've been pre-approved. Usually if it's America, So all right, looks like you've been pre-approved. We just have one last check here just to make sure everything is good. Now, who do you currently bank with?
Oregon State.
Oregon State, and I'll just go Oregon State routing number. All right,
Mhm.
so when I pulled the file here, the routing number is blah, 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 blah. Is that correct? Like I look for them. Like I make
Yeah.
it sound to them like I already have the information. All right, and then what's the account number? And then just keep it going.
Okay. Nice. And I think that the main thing is that she just doesn't make it weird. when the client can like hear you like building up to it and they can tell you're nervous, they're kind of nervous too.
Yeah.
So and it also takes a lot of repetition to get to a point where you ask for the social in the bank and you don't feel weird about it. So like don't feel like that's something that all of us didn't go through, guys. I used to get weird when I asked for the social. I'm sure that Mel felt the same way the first time she asked for an account number. But when you have control, it's like people trust people who are in control. They trust people that are steady. They don't trust the people that are acting super nervous.
100%. And two things with that have helped, because I started out telesales. I was nervous. I wasn't the best at either. I'm still not the best today. But two things that really helped me out with that is one, speaking loud. When you speak loud, you don't really have room to, your tonality isn't going to be crackling and you're not going to come off like you're not confident. And the second thing is just be very direct. Like just ask the question and stop. Don't, well, nothing's gonna come out of your account today. They just need this for X, Y, and Z. Like, don't do none of that. Just what's your account number? Move on. If
Yeah.
they rebuttal you, then handle the objection.
Yeah. It's funny. Somebody goes, well, what do you do when they say, well, what do you need my account number for? And when I'm in the home, someone says, well, what do you need my account for? I go, so you can pay for it. And then I just look down at my paper and I don't say anything. And they go, oh, okay. And then they go get it. But it's like at that point, like you said, if they do have an objection, it's better to overcome it afterwards rather than trying to like get yourself down the rabbit hole of trying to overcome the objection that you're not even sure if it's actually there. Maybe
Yeah.
they just genuinely want to know, why do you need the info? And I go, so you can pay for it. They go, oh, okay. That's what I thought. Versus, well, nothing's going to come out of your account today. And then you start spinning and talking and talking and talking, and you lose yourself on the sale. So that's big. Do you do anything other than give them your state license number in the beginning to provide credibility?
Nope. If I get like pushback for some reason at social and bank, and they're like, well, I'm not really comfortable, like I'll handle the objection, and then I'll send them my license. Like I always have my license on deck. I have it all saved to a folder so I can quickly, all right, no worries, I'm just going to go ahead and email my license over to you right now, that way you could see it while we're on the phone, and I'll just send it. But to be honest, I've never ever gotten an objection up front, like, oh, can you send me your license? I need to see your license. I've never got that.
It's always something you kind of do to strengthen your position at the end if they're not giving you the personal info.
100%.
Okay. I love that. Okay. I kind of want to transition into building a team because you're blowing up. Like I'm super happy to see it. Like your group is just exploding right now. I'm assuming, you follow Josh, you follow Nina and Hayden. So I'm assuming you're doing some recruiting on social media. Are you doing anything outside of social media?
No, no. Well, no, I'm not.
No.
I'm like, nope.
Answer's no. Perfect. Talk to us a little bit about, how would somebody start recruiting on social media if you were to give like a, master the basics 101 class to someone who's just getting started? Maybe how do you coach your agents on how to reach out to their friends on social media?
Yeah. To be honest, guys, I'm not a really strong recruiter. Like I'm really not. I do like go to Josh a lot about that stuff because he's really good at it. I'm still learning. I get better at it every single day. But I feel like we all collectively as a whole have established really good with social media. So posting a lot on social media and, getting ourselves out there. But I feel like the biggest thing that has helped me, because you guys at the end of the day, and this helps me out too, but like Josh says, you guys don't have to recruit 100 people. Yeah, 100 people is probably going to get you to that like 1 million mark or so, but just find 5 people and like pour into them and duplicate yourself with them, because those 5 people, they're going to go find their 5 people or their 2 people. And I always tell people, hey, when you guys recruit them, like pour into them, take care of them, don't feed them to the wolves, because that's not going to build a business. You know what I mean? But I do use social media. I've had people reach out to me just through like podcasts and whatnot, following people, messaging them, especially when it comes to like licensed agents. I don't spend money like on recruiting. I don't really do a whole lot of that stuff. Like I said, guys, I'm not amazing at recruiting. But once you find, your 5 strong people and, develop them and then they recruit, it really goes fast.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's powerful because there are a lot of us who just say, well, I'm making more money than I've ever made before. So that means that I can spend money on LinkedIn ads. I can spend money on ZipRecruiter ads. I can spend money on Facebook ads. And, this was actually a topic on the FFL USA managers call today, where Andrew Taylor was talking about how a lot of us are, trying to take the easy way out because, success is kind of, actually hurt us a little bit because we let me just spend money and get 1,000 names and phone numbers of people who are maybe interested, and then call and try to recruit one, but maybe the quality is super low. But then you're talking about, hey, why don't you recruit 5 people that this could change their life, that this is something that could be positive for them, that they could crush it here, and then really pour in and develop those people and
Yeah.
create duplication, which is huge. Because what would you rather have? Would you rather have 4 quarters or 100 pennies?
Yeah.
Both make $1, but of course most people would want 4 quarters because 100 pennies is just super annoying.
Yeah.
So that's huge. So how do you develop people? How do you help them become a quarter instead of a penny?
Yeah, 100%. I'm actually really blessed and lucky. When I came into this thing, like I was on Josh's hip the whole time. So I really try to duplicate and copy everything that he does for a reason. But I keep people on my hip. Like I said from the beginning, like I want them, dialing with me, talk about their goals, care about them, talk about integrity. I feel like a lot of people come in here, they have no idea what it is. And, you really got to pour into people. So for me, like I take time. I like to travel a lot. Like I'm single, I don't have kids, I don't have no obligation. So I'm okay to hit the road all the time. But just spending time with your people, helping them out. That's literally what I do. I don't do anything crazy. Boot camps, whatever, but I just help your people out. If like for myself, do I want to get integrity? Of course I do. Like I have goals to take care of my family, but to be honest, like I don't really think about myself all the time and like what I want to do. I think about like integrity and what I'm going to do for my family. So when it comes to work, like I think about people that I work with that aren't even on my team, like how can I add value to them? Like how can I help them out? So I'm always just trying to help people out.
I love the concept of just keep the people on your hip. I mean, that's big, because when I look back at the best people that we have in our group, they're the ones that stayed close. And it's not about, if they followed me specifically, maybe they were on Grady's hip or maybe they were on whoever's hip, but they stayed close and they were a student of the game. I think that's important. I know that was something for me. I committed to becoming a student of the game, and that's how you get good at selling insurance. And then when you talk about building a team, some people have come here and they've never built any type of sales organization before. So naturally, you should latch on to somebody who's already doing it. And guys, this is a copy paste business. I mean, in school, we were shamed for cheating. In business, you get rewarded for copy paste cheating off of somebody else's paper, so just find somebody who, has the style that you want, find somebody who you see is building in a way that you want to build or selling in a way that you want to sell, and just copy paste, ask them, what they're doing. For you, other than Josh, because Josh Williams, obviously incredible individual, so knowledgeable, but who else influence wise, podcasts or trainings did you spend time listening to? Because I know for me, I picked a couple and I wanted to just consume everything that they had rather than the idea of the week and listening to every single person's philosophy. I picked, Matt Smith, Paul McLean, Grady, then I listened to those obsessively.
Yeah, no, 100%. Nina D's a
Yeah.
beast.
Oh yeah.
I listen to her, Alondra. AJ, he's coming up, Austin Jones, he, transitioned not too long ago, but I learned a lot from him.
Yeah.
I look up to him a lot. I listen to Andrew Taylor. I don't really like do a whole lot of podcasts, but when those people speak, like I'm listening. I like Mark Mead. I like everybody here. Everybody that works hard and takes care of people. Like I just want to listen to them. So there's not like a one person I'm like, gotta listen to this podcast.
Sure.
But, yeah.
Okay, so kind of just transitioning here right towards the end, we're actually going to open up for a quick Q&A. So if anybody does have any questions, just please go ahead and type them in the chat, and we'll probably take 3, 4 questions. So, go ahead and do that right now, just so we don't have to wait awkwardly for the first question. But just, what advice would you give a new agent just who they want to go all in, they want to build a big business, they want to sell at a high level? Like, how do you sell and recruit at the same time?
Yeah.
And like balance all of that, because it's not easy. It's kind of like a juggling act for a little bit.
Mm-hmm. So to be honest, like myself, I'm not the smartest person. Like I don't know everything at all. Like I honestly, I feel like what's gotten me to like where I am is just being consistent. So I feel like the biggest thing is being consistent, with whether it's activity, your dials, recruiting, just stay consistent. The second thing is you have to get uncomfortable. Like if I never got uncomfortable, back in August, I don't know what I would be doing right now. So you got to get uncomfortable. And the third thing is you just have to stay disciplined. That's with your time, just in general. Like when you say you're going to do something, do it. If you're dialing at 8 a.m., does not mean get on at 8:05. Like you're on up early, ready to go, and that's it. So those three things, I feel like.
I love it. Okay, it looks like we got some questions. So from Laura, how long did it take you to make your first sale? And maybe how long did it take you to make your first sale in insurance? And then how long did it take you to make one at FFL?
Um, when I first got into the industry, it took me like 4 months. Yeah, maybe, yeah, 4 months. It was a long time.
Wow.
And then after that, 4 more months. Whereas here at FFL, um, that day, like I just work, dial the phone. The people are gonna pick up. If they don't, borrow the money, go Uber, go figure it out, swipe your card, dial the leads. So that did.
Love it. Do you have a script? This is from Candy, who's one of our top telesales producers. She is like a 50 plus family a month person, but she says, do you have a script to what you send recruits for your first message?
To be honest, no, I don't really follow a script. Some people do. I personally, like if I'm on Instagram or social media, I just find something in common, like, hey Jamie, I see you like baseball. Me too. Who's your favorite team? And I just go into it, and then just what do you do for work? Like, or I'll
Yeah.
just like a couple other stuff. I don't really have a script.
Yeah, I know that like when I listen to, Hayden and Nina and some of the different trainings that they talk about obviously, like, following them. Number one, you got to find them, whether it's under a hashtag, whatever. You find the type of person you want to recruit, and then you start interacting with them in a genuine way. You like a couple of their photos, leave a genuine comment, not just some fake copy paste comment, but a genuine comment. Josh, I heard the story of how, Nina put like a fire emoji on like a bottle of cologne that was on his Instagram story.
Yes.
And he was like, who's this Nina girl?
Yeah.
It's just like having genuine interaction with people. And then it's like now you become each other. They follow you back because of that genuine interaction. And now everything that you post on your story, they see.
Yeah.
And now it gives more opportunities for conversations to happen. So I figure that's probably kind of how most of your guys' team is doing it, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm having a horrible time getting people to answer the phone. Any ideas?
I get that too. But make sure you're following the system. Like for myself, when it comes to telesales, we have rules, telesale rules. So make sure you're buying at least 100 and no more than 120. Make sure you're triple dialing. Make sure you're using a dialer system, and make sure you're dialing 3, 4 times throughout the day. So if if you don't get a presentation, you should have about 900 plus dials. If you do get a presentation, like that's good. Our goal is to like strive to get a presentation. We're not really
Yeah.
focused on the dollar amount.
So why do you say, I've heard this a lot from your guys' group, but why do you say a minimum of 100, but no more than 120? What's the philosophy behind that?
You're just not going to be able to work them,
Okay.
completely, properly. I mean,
Got it.
it's worked for us.
Sure. No, that makes a lot of sense, actually. Okay. I appreciate that. Can you give us a rundown of how you work the 120 leads in a given day? So just maybe a breakdown of like Dominique Rogers dials them in groups of 25. Do you go straight through and then straight through again? Do you break them up into groups?
Yeah, so I'll have like all 100 leads in my dialer system, and I just triple dial like the first lead and then go on to the next. Once I'm done with, I should have about 300 dials because you have 100 leads, triple dial them. Then I take a break for like an hour and a half, 2 hours, then come back and do it again. That's it. Nothing crazy.
Okay. I mean, it's guys, this business is actually pretty simple. A lot of
Very
us, like, we're looking for, like, the secret code, but it's just, hey, I
yeah.
dial them and then I take a break for an hour and then I dial them again and I take a break for an hour and then I dial them again.
Mm,
You guys can do that.
yeah.
How do you support a new agent when they go through a valley in the business?
We all go through it. Talk about yourself. Like I've been through, I've been broke. Like before FFL, golly, I was not in a good place. But just relate to them. Um, you know, what do they say? Diamonds are formed under pressure. Nothing in life that's worth having is ever going to come easy. But for me, like I have a really strong why. Like for me, like I want to be a mom really bad. I want to be a great wife, but more importantly, like I want to take care of my family right now. Like I have a 7-year-old niece who I want to give the world to. So for me, it's like if I'm going through it, get over it. Like I got to take care of them. So just I keep it moving. I keep it going. But I guess sometimes it's not always easy for everybody. And I truly do get that. But just, try to stay positive, get new leads. And, if like for myself, if I know someone who's really going through it, like I'll help them out with leads or give them old leads, whatever it is, have them come over, have them work with me. That's what I do.
I love it. I think the number one thing I took away from that is that you kind of got to be relatable,
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, like, it's better to share that you've also failed a bunch of times than just be like, oh yeah, I came in and I just crushed it and everything's just been a blast and it's been so easy, because
Mhm.
that actually will make people, like, resent you, because they're like, well, they've never failed. Like, they don't even understand what I'm going through. Versus if you're actually someone who works and leads from the front, you're like, listen, I've been told no more times than you've even tried. The more
Yeah.
times than you've ever even dialed the phone. Trust me, I've been told to F off more times than I can even count on
Yeah.
everybody's hands on this live dials at the same time. So
Yeah.
don't worry, it happens to all of us.
And if I'm
And
being honest, like I said, I came in August working. From August to literally January, beginning of February, I struggled like
yeah,
really bad, like really, really bad. And a lot of that was because it was my fault, 100% my fault. So I haven't been here for a year and just been crushing it. Absolutely not. Like I've been broke many times. So, that's where I'm
sure. How do you help a new agent from initially being frozen?
frozen.
Like analysis paralysis. They can't make their first dial. They're terrified looking at the green button to make that first dial.
Okay. It depends on the type of person, but one, this is life insurance. Like they need us. If we don't call them and something happens to Miss Mary and she passes away, like, dang, dude, like that's on you. Like, come on. Um, a second thing, it's just the phones. They can't see you. They don't know what you look like. They're probably having a bad day. Like, it's okay. And the third thing, like they do need us. And there's not a lot of, like nobody has life insurance. Like a select handful of people in the world have it. Like they do need us. So sometimes it's like, okay, I get you're nervous, but you can't be selfish. Like they filled this out. Even if they didn't, like, somebody can find value in this. But I don't know. I'm not trying to make it sound like it's silly, but it's just the phones. I don't know. It's
Definitely.
okay. Come dial with me. Like, I don't know.
Yes. We're just gonna do two more questions here, hopefully quick ones. How let's see. How late do you dial your last lead?
It depends. So it really truthfully, honestly does depend. So for instance, today I'm out here with the crew and we were up at 8 a.m. Eastern time. And, we dialed all day, took a break, a couple of breaks and went to dinner at like 6. But I'm going to get on the phones once I'm done here and I'm going to dial Hawaii time. So
Hawaii time. Let's go.
don't
So
be late.
what's the latest? Are you on Eastern time right now or on Pacific?
I'm Eastern time right now. I'm in
Eastern
Hawaii.
time.
Mhm,
Okay, so Eastern time, you're 6 hours ahead of
mhm.
Hawaii, correct?
Yes.
So I mean, the latest you could theoretically dial, you could dial till 1, 2 in the morning or later,
3 a.m.
3
If
a.m.
you really wanted to. I'm not, I'm
Okay.
asleep.
Yeah, for sure, definitely. But if you really
Yeah.
wanted to, you could.
Mhm.
Okay, and then last question. I thought this was good. Someone said, "What did you mean that it was your fault when you struggled between August and January?"
Good question. I wasn't really being intentional when it came to like where I was putting my money. I was going to dinners and, I had, some money, but I was spending it not the way I should have, like going to fancy dinners or going to, do this and that when I really honestly didn't have a whole lot of money to do that. So really it was just my fault spending it in the wrong places and not focusing my attention where I should have. So, buying the leads and, being consistent with that. Um, and, when it came to, because I'm not gonna lie, like I did kind of struggle with chargebacks there for a second. And that
Yeah.
was my fault because instead of saying, all right, Jamie, so this is gonna go effective immediately. The first payment's gonna come out in 1 to 3 business days, okay? And then move on. Like that's not okay because who knows, Jamie may not have the money in the account. So just being super intentional about what I was doing,
Hmm.
you know.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I love it. Let's talk goals and then we'll jump off of here. So, you're
Cool.
helping, 30-ish families a month and your team's doing, 500 families a month. What kind of goals do you have, strolling into convention 2023?
100%. I definitely want to be doing over 1 million for sure. But my biggest thing is I yeah, I'm super excited to get to 1 million, but I'm really excited to help someone else get to 1 million as well. So I want to be consistent. I'm not a crazy 50, 60, 80K, a month producer. I just want to, help my 30 families and, grow this thing and really help, people in my business hit 1 million. Like I'm excited about that.
What about Hall of Fame?
I'm working on it. I'm a little behind the beginning of the year. I did struggle a little bit, but I do want to hit Hall of Fame. So
Awesome. Well, we'll be rooting for you
yeah.
guys. Drop a MM in the comments if you thought that Mel brought some value here on the call tonight. Lots of MM. So Mel, we appreciate you so much. Thank you for joining us. If there's anything that we can ever do to support each other, you just let us know. We're rooting for you. So thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, thank you so much for having me on this call. I had so much fun.
All
Appreciate
right,
it.
everybody have a great night. Peace out,
Yes, you
guys.
guys too.